gives me a great pleasure to see you all here. Now that we have signed this letter of intent with our good friends from Germany, it's great to have you here in Iceland for the first time, and like I said, not the last one, your last visit here. He promised. For us, this is Icelanders, this is a natural step on our behalf, as Germany is a key NATO ally with whom we share, of course, both values and not least interests. Iceland and Germany have a 70-year-old and long, excellent relationship and constructive, not least cooperation within NATO, which we are now taking even further by formalizing and strengthening the foundation of our bilateral friendship and relationship. Germany is from my point of view, the leading force now in strengthening the security and defense of Europe. And like I said to you earlier, Boris, it's so valuable to see how not just Germany has been stepping up, it's taking the leading role from my point of view in Europe. And that is really valuable for us, small and bigger countries among the NATO allies. I'm confident that our letter of intent offers us both a necessary and a useful framework to deepen our bilateral defense cooperation. It covers a wide spectrum of important issues where both nations will benefit from working closer together. I would like to mention two especially important areas of cooperation in the letter of intent. One is the emphasis on the air and maritime domain, and another is strengthened coordination on hybrid activities and strengthened cooperation between relevant cyber authorities. We are here in Iceland, and I hear also other NATO allies, we are concerned about rising hybrid threats, including attacks on underwater infrastructure, drone incursions, hyper attacks, and we see also and notice a lot of this information everywhere, almost everywhere, I would say. So this lays the foundation for a strong, operationally focused relationship that strengthens the alliance, the NATO, deterrence and defense in the North Atlantic and the Arctic that play a crucial role for the security and also the prosperity of Europe and North American homeland as well. So thank you once again, dear Boris, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Torgerdur. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to be here in Reykjavik. I'm very happy to be here, and indeed it's my first time, not only as defense minister, but also personally. So I'm really looking forward to a very short, unfortunately, very short visit here in Iceland. Iceland has been our close partner in NATO for many, many decades. Here in the High North, Iceland is making a crucial contribution to safeguarding the northern flank of the alliance. We have just signed a joint letter of intent. You mentioned it. We want to cooperate even more closely in future, particularly in the area of maritime logistics. Owing to its geographical location, Iceland is an important forward logistic site for the German Navy, like a pier of a bridge across the North Atlantic, but also a gateway to the Arctic. We will intensify our tried and tested military cooperation by using our modern port infrastructure, by using your modern port infrastructure, your reliable local logistic and resupply options, and your base in Keflavik for our new Poseidon P-8 maritime patrol aircraft. Thank you for making all this possible. These measures are in our shared interest. The security challenges we face require us to increase our engagement. Russia's shadow fleet is threatening our critical maritime infrastructure every day. Along the borders of NATO airspace, Moscow's fighter jets are testing our responsiveness. Kaliningrad and St. Petersburg are being turned into heavily armed strongholds. We are responding to that in a number of ways. Just take the Baltic Sea. We are creating a regional hub for critical undersea infrastructure. This will give us a 24/7 situational picture. We are participating in NATO's Baltic Sentry with units at sea and in the air. We will monitor all activities that might pose a danger to our critical undersea infrastructure. However, focusing only on the Baltic Sea would be short-sighted. One thing is for certain, Russia's unrestrained imperialist ambition will not stop in Ukraine or at NATO's eastern flank. The civilian and military lines of communication across the North Atlantic are vitally important. They are vitally important for our economy and our defense alliance with Canada and the United States, which makes it all the more important to protect these lifelines against potential aggressors, most of all Russia with its northern fleet. And Russia is remilitarizing the Arctic. Russia is modernizing old Soviet-era bases. Russia's submarines are using the waters around Iceland as points of entry into the Atlantic. All this is going hand in hand with a systematic reconnaissance of our critical infrastructure above and below water, including here off Iceland's coast. This is why last year Germany adapted its Arctic policy guidelines. We made the security of the northern flank a priority. As an export-driven nation, we depend heavily on free trade along secure sea lines of communication, most importantly, of course, the transatlantic ones. We are committed to the rules-based international order, and we will do our part to secure allied supply routes in the North Atlantic. With regard to Iceland, that means we want to further strengthen our cooperation. We will increase our presence. We are ready to take on more responsibility for stability and security in the High North. The German Navy will deploy its frigates, submarines, and new maritime patrol aircraft to generate situation pictures in the North Atlantic. This will help support NATO's defense planning, and it will strengthen deterrence in the alliance. We know that we can count on the support of our Iceland friends. Torgeir, I'm pleased that by signing the LOI today, we are able to take an important step towards our goal. Thank you very much for the warm welcome and the excellent talks.
Thank you so much. So just shoot, Davíð Logi, you are going to control this.
Mr. Minister, you are engaging on this trip here in a lot of new commitments. Will the Bundeswehr have enough staff to man all these commitments in the future, or will you need the draft rather sooner than later?
We will be able to do all that with the personnel we have and the personnel we will have in the future.
Again, Erik Safusen from Political in Berlin. Mr. Minister, what exactly are you planning to do here in Iceland, and what are you planning with the P-8? I believe they just delivered to Germany a couple of weeks ago, the first parts of the aircrafts. So what's the projects that you're planning to do here?
Well, with the Poseidon P-8, we will operate in the Northern Atlantic. We will collaborate with our British friends in Northern Scotland. As you know, we are going there on Wednesday to have the first flight together with my colleague John Healy. Here in Iceland, it's about what I mentioned earlier, to improve our capabilities in terms of maintaining, of supplying, of operating in the Northern Atlantic, because the relevance of Northern Atlantic security is crucial and evident at the same time. So we need presence here of NATO allies. We need, of course, presence of German Navy, and we will do that in the years to come, and we will improve that in the years to come.
Mr. Minister, how do you expect Iceland to contribute to this cooperation?
Well, Iceland is already doing a lot, and since Iceland doesn't have armed forces, they do a lot in terms of infrastructure, in terms of providing help and support with a really excellent port infrastructure you have. So this is we are working on in the years to come together with our other allies, because it's particularly about that. No armed forces in Iceland, but a very, very important strategic location in the Northern Atlantic. And as you know, we have a collaboration together with Norway, Canada, and Denmark in terms of Northern Atlantic Maritime Cooperation, and Iceland does play a relevant role, at least, but not only, because of their geographical situation.
Just to add to this, if I may, like Boris said, we have no armed forces, like you know, But of course, we are playing a strategic role in the North Atlantic, definitely. And we have also been contributing to situational awareness in this region, for example, through operating the Icelandic air defense system. But we are also been stepping up the last months and year with our cooperation with the U.S., how we are going to strengthen our infrastructure, looking to the Icelandic security area, Keflavik Air Base. So we are doing as much as we can, because, like I told Boris, we want to be on the forefront when it comes to be a good and responsible host nation and a reliable ally in NATO.
Steffen Wurzel, German Public Radio, Deutschlandfunk. Herr Minister, wenn ich darf, eine Frage auf Deutsch. Welche Folgen hat diese Absichtserklärung konkret für die Bundeswehr, und besteht nicht die Gefahr, dass sich die Bundeswehr verzettelt mit allerlei Engagements überall in Europa und darüber hinaus? Und Frau Ministerin, if I may ask you, what does this letter mean for Iceland? And if I may add a second question, when is your country becoming a member of European Union?
Wenn Sie mir die Bemerkung gestatten, das ist eine typisch deutsche Frage. Eine typisch deutsche Frage ist die zu sagen, verzetteln Sie sich nicht, übernehmen Sie sich nicht. Ich meine, wir sind der größte NATO-Partner in Europa. Dass alle NATO-Partner auf uns schauen, ist doch völlig klar. Wir haben gerade zusätzliche U-Boote bestellt. Wir investieren in unsere Marine insgesamt. Wir haben den P8-Fernaufklärer, mit dem wir kooperieren, hier, aber auch in Großbritannien und andernorts. Es geht doch genau darum, dass gerade die Großen dann auch mehr zu tragen haben, was übrigens auch am Fähigkeitspaket der NATO eher sichtbar wird. Wir müssen mehr tragen als andere, und das müssen wir zeigen. Wir werden nicht überall sein können, aber wir setzen eben Prioritäten. So wie andere europäische NATO-Mitgliedstaaten eher nach Süden, mit in den Mittelmeerraum schauen oder in den Mittleren Osten oder nach Afrika, haben wir unseren Fokus eben auf die Ostsee, also auf den baltischen Raum, auf die Ostflanke und die nordischen Länder. Gerade mit Blick auf die Arktis, deren Relevanz in den nächsten Jahren einfach massiv zunehmen wird, alleine schon aufgrund des Klimawandels, aber auch aufgrund der russischen und chinesischen Aktivitäten. Und deswegen sind eben auch die Kooperationen so wichtig mit Kanada, Norwegen, Island und Dänemark auf unterschiedlichen Ebenen und in unterschiedlichen Strukturen, um genau das dann auch in Zukunft sicher abbilden zu können. Also ich glaube nicht, dass Sie sich Sorgen machen müssen, dass wir uns verzetteln.
My first answer is I agree to everything what Boris said. And it's part of our decision to make this and underline this, to sign this letter of intent. You know, from my point of view also, it's very normal that we formalize and strengthen also our foundation of our bilateral relationship. It's obviously, I told you earlier that Germany is not just stepping up, but it's really in the leading role when it comes to defense and deterrence and security of Europe. And in the early days, maybe not just, it's only 3 years since the High North was a low tension area, but it's not anymore. And you know, like Boris has said so eloquently, you know, the Russia and the Russia flank, the Northern Fleet, it's not getting any weaker. They are strengthening themselves. So and investing heavily also in all kinds of army tech, be it submarines or whatever. So the threat is in the North Atlantic, in the Arctic, and I would say also, in a way, China as well is looming around the corner. So we have to be aware. We have to be Iceland a reliable partner. Signing a letter like this is among that, a token, a sign out in the public that we are working, these nations, small and big, we are working very closely with each other. Now that's really important, and we are stepping up. Iceland as other countries in Europe. That is also really important and significant. About the question to when we are going to be a member of EU, it's quite clear. We have a government here, not 1 year old, but we have in our manifesto that we are going to hold a referendum no later than 2027. I'm the leader of the pro-NATO party, I'm the leader of a pro-EU party, and of course I would say, and I will say as soon as possible.
I have 3 more questions.
Laura Amish from Bloomberg. I have a follow-up question on the P8s. Do you envision a particular timeline for this? And if so, what is that going to look like a bit more specifically? Like, is that going to be a permanent deployment? What could be like different versions of how that could unfold?
I would prefer to make the first step before I do the second and not the other way around. We just get delivered the first one, and we are expecting the next ones. The first one will arrive in Lower Saxony in Germany, I think in the beginning of November. We are already operating together with the British one, with the British friends in the Northern Atlantic. We will do more in that direction, but it's too early to elaborate that here.
Cem Güler for Taz. Mr. Minister, I have a follow-up on the typical German question that was raised. The new brigade for Lithuania that was just now established or is being established was described as a heavy burden for Bundeswehr. How do you think that despite like these efforts there in Lithuania, Germany can afford another engagement around here when it comes to military? And if I may, Madam Minister, what do you reckon Germany or other NATO partners could maybe learn from Iceland with the strong, maybe civilian resilience that there is around here, maybe with the social welfare state that you have? What is there that, how you are maybe contributing, or how like Germany can, what is there that Germany could learn from the civilian resilience that there is in Iceland?
A lot, I guess. But anyway, I never heard anyone saying that the brigade in Lithuania is a huge burden for the Bundeswehr. What I heard and what I emphasized on my own too was it is an unprecedented effort, an unprecedented decision in German military history since 1949 that we deploy permanently a brigade outside Germany. This is really new and important to do that. And if you go there and ask our Lithuanian or Baltic friends, you will hear all the same. They always really appreciate that a lot that we are doing that. It is unprecedented. It is important, especially with regard to the Suwałki Gap. And therefore, our engagement is crucial and is new, and it is a sign of our responsibility as the biggest NATO ally in Europe. Therefore, I don't see any risks for any other engagements, but at the same time, deploying permanently anything is not on the table for the moment. We are cooperating, we are collaborating, we are operating together with our northern allies, we are exercising together with allies and partners all over the world, and we will continue doing so. But this is a totally different thing than to deploy permanently a brigade or anything like that.
Final question.
Oh no, her question.
Short answer, dear Willoy. Tomorrow the Minister, Morris, will fly over and see Grindavik. You know Grindavik? You know the town that was evacuated because of eruption. It's not far away from the Blue Lagoon. And there you can see a typical, great example how we express our resilience and how we also use our kind of innovative thinking, how we tackle the nature and the forces of nature. That is one example I could underline. But on the other hand, the strength of Icelandic society also in the Nordic, and I would say also in Germany, are strong welfare states. And I think now when we are in these peculiar times, when some countries, some were like-minded, they are putting aside values that we stand for, then it's a challenge for us in Iceland and be very steadfast on, not abandoning our values like gender equality, fight for freedom, fight for liberty, fight for democracy. So that is our core thinking when we are also tackling the forces of nature. We have these values and we are taking care of our society and trying to embrace them in various ways. So for now, I would say there are a lot of challenges for democratic countries like Iceland and other democratic and liberal countries around the world, especially in Europe, and maybe on the other side of the transatlantic as well, to be sure not to be pushing these values aside. They are our core principles.
Stefan Gunnar from Morgenbladet. Well, first of all, do you envision like a larger role for Germany in the air policing mission here in Iceland, that we have like alternate members doing that? And also because, Þorgerður, you mentioned that hybrid and cyber was like one of the main two focuses in there. I would like perhaps a little bit more detail on, are we talking about the pipe, the undersea cables? Are we mainly talking them? Are we talking cyber? You know, what sort of, how do you see Iceland and Germany sort of giving each other in that area?
With regard to air policing, as you probably know, we are for the moment really focused on our engagement on the eastern flank, like taking part in Eastern Sentry, like having taking part in air policing in Poland or in Romania. We are focusing on that, and at the same time with our Navy activities in the Baltic Sea, where we are very, very, very present, and we will be, and we need to stay present in the Baltic. Therefore, we are not just, at least not for the moment, not really on the track to go to take part in air policing in Iceland too. We appreciate very much what other allies do here, like we do our part in Eastern Europe.
Yes, and I can understand that quite clearly, you know, because we have been also emphasizing that Iceland supports definitely both the Baltic and the Eastern Sentry. That is quite vital now for the time being when we are facing this terrible war in Ukraine. On the other hand, we cannot lose the focus on this hybrid warfare we are facing, not just Iceland. It has been mentioned by various ministers during our meetings in Brussels that especially democratic societies should be aware of all this information process in our country, whether they are coming from inside bots or outside pressure. So we are looking in various things. It at least clear that countries like we are doing with Denmark, we want to be and be a collaborator when it comes to drones information, drones knowledge, and who are on the forefront there with their knowledge. It's Ukraine, and they are coming to Denmark and other countries, and you could say teaching us how to tackle these terrible drones attacks and threats. So that is one of the things we are looking into, and of course we are looking every possible way how we can defend and secure our undersea water cables and infrastructure.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Good having you here in Iceland, og ykkur líka sem eru íslensk. Takk.